Seventh episode has a cold open set on October 27, 1962, at the very peak of the Cuban Missile Crisis, where an American general tells his wife a now well-known story about how the world was saved. In short, Soviet naval officer Vasily Arkhipov, as the second captain and brigade chief of staff on a B-59 nuclear submarine, was under instructions to launch a nuclear torpedo if America got the upper hand in the standoff. Surrounded by U.S. destroyers and depth charges, thoroughly beaten, he disobeyed those orders and refused to fire. It's perhaps just as well, since the resultant exchange between the world's preeminent nuclear superpowers would have likely ended life as we know it. In present, Sinatra reiterates to Xavier that Terry is still alive. Briefly, she explains about having the expedition team killed when they tried to bring a survivor back to the bunker. But she also claims the team was able to set up shortwave transmitters that are still active, and that she's still listening to. Survivors are transmitting distress messages constantly. They're out there. Xavier isn't convinced, since Terry was in Atlanta, which was hit directly by a nuclear weapon, or so he thinks. Sinatra tells him that Cal did something on that day that he didn't know about, and that thing might be the key. It begins with the eruption of a supervolcano under the Antarctic ice shelf, which triggers a ruinous tsunami. The scientific modeling around the event theorized several days between the first seismic activity and the eventual eruption, but the prediction was way off. The volcano erupted in mere minutes, blindsiding and devastating the world. Multiple coastal countries are wiped out wholesale. The remaining superpowers, particularly Russia and China, plan to seize the opportunity for a land grab. Chaos ensues. Cal knew this was coming. It's why the Versailles Protocol exists. But he had no idea of the speed and severity with which it would happen or how everyone else would respond to it. And now he's stuck in a position where he has to be evacuated to paradise while deceiving the American people, including his staff. While all this is going on, Xavier is trying to get in touch with Terry, who's stranded in Atlanta. Every step of this process is riveting. Cal is disgusted by the idea of recording a message to the nation that will play after his evacuation, disguised as a reassuring live broadcast, but he's being strong-armed into doing it. Xavier is trying to keep that under control, as well as keeping a rookie agent calm amid the chaos, all while desperately trying to contact Terry. Every positive step forward is met with a couple back. Russia and China prepare to exchange nukes. Denmark gets struck by missiles of unknown origin, and the timetable is sped up again. Xavier finds out where Terry is, where she needs to go, and how long she has to get there, but can't get in touch with her for long enough to give her clear instructions on how to go about it. And yet, within all this, Paradise Episode 7 finds small moments of extraordinary warmth and humanity. One involves Jeffrey, a cleaner in the White House for the past 9 administrations, who Cal keeps seeing floating around in the background of shots, going about his business. When Cal eventually approaches him, Jeffrey shrugs off the concern. He has seen it all before. He was in the White House during 9/11, wars in the Middle East, pandemics, and multiple other crises. He'll see his family tomorrow. A tearful Cal can't bring himself to tell him that he won't, that his family won't be alive tomorrow. Spurred on by this, Cal decides to tell the world the truth. He gives a live broadcast expressing the true seriousness of the situation, which causes uproar even in the White House. Xavier knows what's coming, but even while donning body armor and loading automatic weapons, he's trying to call Terry. When the White House staff realize they're being abandoned and the Secret Service turns their guns on the functionaries, he's trying to call Terry. As he hustles Cal and the nuclear football across the lawn amid a riot, after Robinson shoots the rookie agent in the head for the crime of trying to get on the helicopter that is spiriting the president away, all Xavier is thinking about is Terry. It finally dawns on Xavier that Terry isn't going to make it and that Cal knew she wouldn't. He blames Cal for that, even though everything he has seen has reiterated that Cal is simply a cog in a machine whirring without his consent. He believed the scientist's timeline. He meant it when he said he'd get her a plane to safety. He even tried to in this very episode. Circumstances made a liar of him. Xavier gets on the plane to join Presley and James. He has no other choice. He's now literally a passenger, which is all he has been throughout the process. The real power rests in Cal's hands and how he decides to exert it. While aboard Air Force One, the Joint Chiefs call in with a recommendation. The world is on the cusp of an all-out nuclear war. The carnage will be indiscriminate. The only way to avert it is to fire first. They tell Cal to unload America's entire nuclear arsenal at every nuclear-equipped nation, just in case they get the same idea. And the only way to do that is via the nuclear football. In Paradise, the football has a red book containing all the launch codes, but it also has a blue book containing different codes. Cal explains to Sinatra, who is pushing him to launch the nukes, that the blue book was an idea posited by a general during the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's the ultimate failsafe, an array of linked EMPs designed to fry every electronic circuit on Earth. The downside is that it'll shut the world off and take the planet back 500 years. The upside is that it'll disarm the nukes and give humanity a fighting chance of survival. Cal inputs the blue codes. At the same time, Xavier has finally managed to get through to Terry using a satellite phone. On screens, he and Cal can see the trajectory of the nuclear warheads, including one heading directly for Atlanta. On Cal's screen, he can also see the creeping progress of the EMPs as things start to shut down. It's a race. Terry's survival hinges on the nuke being disabled before it lands. Xavier never knew what Cal did, so he assumed that the satellite phone going dead meant Terry was gone. Back in the present day, Sinatra reveals to him the truth. The EMP got there first. Terry survived. And to prove it, she plays one of the shortwave transmissions, a message from her saying she's looking for her husband and children. But then she drops another bombshell. She has Presley. The only chance Xavier has of seeing his wife and daughter again is to put Paradise back the way it was. If he does that, Sinatra will also identify who murdered Cal. The DNA from the crime scene doesn't match anyone from the bunker. His murderer came from outside.